is up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you were new to the channel, I am Gold Pony, and today we are in the new 2020 Subaru Forester, courtesy of Apple Subaru in York, PA. And so I've reviewed this one the past few years. I've always liked it. It's got the best all-wheel drive system in existence right now. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2020 Forester. First one being the base trim level, starting at $24,495. Then you have the premium for $27,395. Sport is going to start at $28,995. Limited for $31,095. And lastly, the touring, that one is going to start at $34,595. But regardless of trim level, power plant on the 2020 Forester will be the same. Powering this beast is going to be a 2.5 liter horizontally opposed 4-cylinder boxer engine, putting out 182 horsepower at 5,800 RPM, 176 pound-feet of torque available at 4,400 RPM, sent to all four wheels, of course, through Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, tested again and again to be the best all-wheel drive system out there, tested vigorously in the snow. So an excellent all-wheel drive system there. That power is going to be sent to the ground through a Lineartronic CVT with paddle shifters if you were to go with the sport or touring trim levels, at least, giving you MPGs coming in at 26 in the city, 33 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel, aka 87 octanes. That's going to save you a little bit of money there too. Did want to also mention there is an auto start stop system that comes standard for all trim levels as well. So when I was stopped at a red light back there, the Forester did completely shut off for me, and then as soon as you let off the brake, it starts back up, of course, automatically for you. So it's not like you have to turn it back on again or anything like that, but it is a fuel saving measure there as well. And so now, before we do any kind of accelerations in this 2020 Forester, did want to mention SI Drive, aka Subaru's drive modes. And so those buttons are going to be located on the steering wheel there, but they're going to give you intelligent and sport driving modes. They're going to adjust things like the shift points, the throttle response, and actually the steering sensitivity as well. And so I did just put it in that sport driving mode. It did immediately blip the throttle up to a higher RPM range, giving it a little more power on demand, so that's always nice. But now, having done that, let's go ahead and do a quick little acceleration here, and let's see how quickly we can get the new 2020 Subaru Forester here up to speed. It's not bad. Certainly no issues with merging onto the highway. I wouldn't have minded a turbocharged engine setup in the Forester, but definitely not too bad of an acceleration there. But to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you're going to find 11.6-inch ventilated front discs if you went with the base or premium trim levels. And actually, those front discs are upgraded to 12.4-inch ventilated front discs if you were to go with the sport trim level and up. So we do have them today. And in the back, you're going to find 11.2-inch solid rear discs for all trim levels. As far as the braking feel goes, it's been perfectly fine. Certainly no issues with bringing the Forester to a stop. So definitely liking that. And then touching on suspension and handling a little bit, up front you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, a double wishbone type rear suspension with front and rear stabilizer bars. And as far as the ride quality goes, we're about to hit some seriously bumpy bumps here. Here it is. Not too bad. I've actually had much worse over those bumps because I always take the same test drive, I feel like, but definitely no issues with ride quality in my opinion. Steering feel is nice, especially in that sport driving mode. Not quite as heavy as actually the Honda Accord I recently just test drove, but a nice weight to it there. But so perhaps my favorite part about the suspension and handling segment of this review here, there is a button called X mode that we have here on this Forester, and that is going to give you normal, of course, that's what it defaults to, but also snow and dirt and deep snow and mud. And this is going to adjust everything from the traction control to the all-wheel drive system engagement. So it's really a benefit, especially with the amount of snow that we get here in Pennsylvania, at least, and anybody up north knows what I'm talking about here. That deep snow and mud mode will get used, and that X mode is essentially just an off-road system that the Subaru Forester comes with, so that is definitely a plus and something I had to mention as well. As far as cabin noise goes, there's a little bit of exterior noise coming into the cabin, but it's not too bad. Not as quiet as some of the other SUVs that I've recently tested, but again, it's not going to annoy you or anything like that, so shouldn't have any issues there. When it comes to visibility, the general rule is the kind of boxier the shape of any kind of vehicle it is, the better visibility you're going to have, and that's certainly the case with the Forester. I can see perfectly fine out the back, even with those somewhat larger rear headrests in the second row there, still have absolutely no issues with visibility, so well done Subaru for that. But that about rounds out the performance segment of this review. Let's go ahead now and check out the exterior of this new 2020 Subaru Forester. All right, so here it is, the 2020 Subaru Forester, you guys. Up front, first thing I always like to mention with Subarus is the ground clearance, because they are more off-road friendly, so to speak, with their all-wheel drive system. But 8.7 inches of ground clearance, I do believe that is among the best in its category without a doubt. LED headlights are going to come standard on all trim levels. Well done Subaru for that. And they will come with the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark out, they're going to turn on automatically for you there. LED daytime running lights, also standard on all trim levels. And you will actually find LED steering responsive headlights if you were to go with the limited or touring trim levels. So therefore, we do happen to have them today. Essentially, the way they work is when you're going on back roads at night, or really any roads, those headlights are going to adjust based on your steering angle, better illuminating what is around the bend, giving you a little better illumination around the corners. So that's definitely a good thing, a safety feature in itself, really. LED fog lights can be found just below for the sport and touring trim levels, and they're going to be optional on some of the other trim levels, of course. Then make your way to the side of this one. Raised roof rails can be found on the premium trim level and up. Rear privacy glass, again with the premium trim level and up. That's always a interesting one that they don't put it on the base trim level. But anywho, when it comes to the side mirrors, black side mirrors are going to come with the base. Body colored side mirrors are going to come with the premium, sport, and the limited trim levels. And you will find a satin chrome finish on those side mirrors if you were to go with the touring. And by the way, those integrated turret signals that you're looking at right now, they are going to come standard on the sport trim level and up. And so taking a step back a little bit, taking a look at the wheel setup, 17-inch steel wheels with covers are going to come with the base, 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels with the premium, and lastly, 18-inch aluminum alloy wheels if you were to go with the sport trim level and up. So now let's make our way to the back on this one. There is a shark fin antenna found up top there. Just below that, a rear spoiler with an integrated brake light, and that is going to come actually on the premium trim level and up, that rear spoiler with the brake light there. Rear window wiper just below. LED license plate lighting. I know it's a small thing, but it really does make a big difference, so I always like to mention it. That is actually going to come standard on all trim levels, and that is one of the new features for the 2020 Forester. And of course, I'll keep mentioning the new features as we go, but that's one of them. It's a small one, but it's a goodie. Then taking a look underneath, you will find a single exhaust outlet for all trim levels, and you will get actually a chrome tip if you were to go with the sport trim level and up. So that is therefore what you're looking at right now. So you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around back, when it comes to opening that rear liftgate, it is actually a power liftgate if you were to go with the limited or the touring trim levels. And by the way, that is optional on the premium and the sport, that power liftgate that is. But there actually is a button on the key fob, so simply just press that if you'd like to get it open. Once opened up, cargo capacity is going to come in at 35.4 cubic feet for the base trim level. It's actually going to differ here. For all other trim levels, it's going to come in at an even 33 cubic feet. And if that was not enough space, of course, those rear seats do fold down, bumping the cubic feetness up to 76.1 for the base, 70.9 cubic feet for all other trim levels though. But did want to also mention, in that cargo area, you can find cargo lighting for the sport and touring trim levels. There's some underfloor storage as well. And that's definitely always a plus. I use that in my own SUV, but that's going to come standard for all trim levels. Also, grocery bag and tie-down hooks, also for every single trim level. Also use that all the time. Definitely very handy there. Making our way to the rear legroom, that is going to come in at 39.4 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. You can also find a fold-down center armrest with rear cup holders for the premium trim level and up. Rear USB charging ports for the sport trim level and up. You're going to have reclining rear seats If you were to go with the premium trim level and up, they're always nice. Heated rear seats, actually, if you went with the Touring, I love that, especially with Subarus known for being in the snow all the time. Heated rear seats are definitely a plus. Again, go with the Touring if you want that. And we do happen to have rear ventilation in this trim level today as well, so that's always a good thing. But making our way up to the front seats, they are manually adjustable seats for the base trim level, 10-way power adjustable driver's seat with power lumbar for the premium, sport, and limited. And that's probably actually the first thing I muttered to myself before I began this test ride, before I turned the camera on, was these seats are very, very comfortable. I'm definitely a fan, so if you have any kind of back issues, Subaru Forester is definitely where it's at there. Power passenger seat, if you wanted it, comes with the Touring. You will find a cloth finish with the base and premium. You will get a sport cloth finish with orange stitching with the sport trim level, of course, as expected there, and leather seating with the limited and Touring, so therefore that's what you're looking at right now. And you're going to have heated front seats. That's going to come with the premium trim level and up, and that button is located just to the right of the X mode button there. But then taking a look up front at the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped for the premium trim level and up, and it is a texturized leather as well. There's different types of leather out there. Some of them are smooth leathers. This is a texturized one. Heated steering wheel will come with the Touring trim level and up. Also wanted to mention that we do happen to have that today, of course. But so then making our way to the startup, let me first start by showing you guys the key here. You do have all your buttons located on one side of the key. You have lock, unlock, and that button to pop the rear hatch. And by the way, the unlock button is the Subaru logo in the middle, by the way. But we do actually have a push button start here today. That is going to come with the sport trim level and up. It's optional on the premium. So all I am going to do is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just by the driver's right knee there. And so, but then once started up, those gauges will do a full sweep. There is a tachometer on the left, speedometer is on your right. There's a digital display front and center, which can be controlled by using the steering wheel mounted controls. There's a couple different things you could check out there. Perhaps the main thing for me is the SI drive mode buttons. It's essentially going to tell you if you're in the intelligent driving mode or the sport driving mode, so that's definitely handy as well. Digital speedometer can be found in the middle. It tells you how many miles per gallon you're getting at any given time, so it's a pretty cool little system up there as well. And I did want to also mention there is a second gauge display, if you will, just on top of the infotainment system, and that is going to give you once again a ton of additional information, including the outside temperature, so that is always a good thing. Time of the day, climate control information. It's also going to tell you your safety features as well as the angle of the Forester, so if you're going up a mountain, it's going to display that as well. That's pretty cool. Oil temperature is going to be up there. There's weather settings, a compass, how many miles you have left until you hit empty, what day of the week it is, and all of that can be controlled by using the info button on the left side of the steering wheel. So I do love that that is up there as well. But now let's make our way to overall interior quality actually before we get to the tech display. Panoramic power moonroof is actually standard for the premium trim level and up. I love that the premium trim level and up gives you that. A lot of times panoramic power moonroofs are only going to come in the very top trim level of a lot of other manufacturers out there, so to have it on the premium trim level is definitely pretty sweet. But dual zone climate control with the limited and Touring trim levels. Home link controls are going to be optional for all trim levels. We do happen to have them today. There are up to 3 different garage doors, and they are located just underneath of the rear view mirror there. You're going to also have overhead LED map lights and a sunglass holder as well up on the roof, and that is going to come standard for all trim levels. And it is what I would consider a very rugged looking interior actually. There's a lot of rubber texturized finishes really. It's going to be found on the doors just above the glove box and all around the shifter as well. I kind of like it. Like a lot of other manufacturers will put plastics there, but I kind of like the rubberized finish. It looks good and it feels good, so kind of cool there. Just in front of the shifter, you have an auxiliary port, USB charging port, and a 12-volt power outlet, as well as a rubberized cargo area there, so things don't slide around as much when you're off-roading. That's pretty cool. Of course, just behind the shifter, you have an electronic parking brake and a brake hold button. Just behind that, you have 2 cup holders, as well as another small little cubby area, but then just below the center armrest, it is a pretty deep cubby area there, and there's actually a 12-volt power outlet within that as well, and plenty of cup holders throughout the Forester, so that's always worth mentioning as well. But now let's make our way to the tech display. 6.5-inch color touchscreen display. It's going to come with the base, premium, and sport trim levels. Then you're going to get an 8-inch color touchscreen display if you went with the limited or the Touring. Therefore, that is actually what you're looking at right now. Either way there, you're going to get Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay. That's a big one, and that's standard for every single trim level, so it's definitely a plus. And by the way, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay if you didn't know already. That gives you free navigation as long as you have a smartphone and you're able to hook it up to the vehicle. Also gives you the ability to like and dislike your Pandora songs up there, and there's a couple other apps it's compatible with as well. Factory navigation system, if you live in the mountains, is going to come standard on the Touring. It's also available on the Limited. And you can check out your radio settings, of course, up there as well. And by the way, when it comes to the sound system, as far as the speakers go, you're going to get 4 speakers with the base, 6-speaker sound system with the Premium, Sport, and Limited. And with the Touring, you're going to get a 9-speaker Harman Kardon surround sound system with 576 watts. However, we do have that as an option on our Limited here today, so I am quite excited for that one. So you guys know what we have to do next. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. This sound system is ridiculous. There's a ton of bass. Clarity is great. For the size of the Forester, that sound system is honestly amazing. So definitely would recommend the Harman Kardon sound system on this Forester that we have here today at least. But last thing on the tech display I wanted to mention to you guys is, of course, when you put the Forester in reverse, you will find a rear view camera for every single trim level, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so to start, first thing I wanted to mention with the Forester, perhaps the most important thing, is this particular vehicle is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest rating given by IIHS. So that essentially is really all you need to know about the safety. But continuing on, front side curtain airbags, driver's knee airbag as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks back there as well as a tire pressure monitoring system. But here's some of the new safety features for the 2020 Subaru Forester. Rear seat reminder system is now going to come standard on all trims, and Subaru EyeSight, and I'll get into that in one second here. Subaru EyeSight is now also going to come with lane centering and lane departure prevention. So those are the 2 new safety add-ons for the 2020 Forester. But to elaborate on that Subaru EyeSight, that by the way comes standard on every single trim level, the sensor for that is located kind of just above the rear view mirror here. So that's where it's going to see everything, so to speak. But it's going to give you adaptive cruise control, pre-collision braking, lane departure and sway warning, as well as lane keep assist too. And continuing on with the Touring trim level, that is actually going to add a driver focus system. So it's essentially going to monitor your driving habits and kind of alert you if it thinks you're getting sleepy or whatever the case, it thinks you're driving bad. High beam assist is going to come with the Sport trim level and up. And if you were looking for that blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, as many do, that is going to come standard on the Limited and Touring, and it is going to be available for the Premium and the Sport. And so, but anyways, that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media at the bottom of the screen there. If you like, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.